Welcome to another video. My name is Amsterdam Comic Geek, aka Michael Minnewo, and I'm a Dutch journalist and I write about comics and popular culture. And a couple of days ago I was at CIA, that's Comics Import Amsterdam, at the Keizersgracht to buy me some comics. They are located around the corner from the Anne Frank house. If you ever want to check them out, they have a big collection of comics, new and old, a lot of back issues as well. And it's one of my stops when I want to go out and get me some comics. And you can recognize the building they're in because they have a big Spider-Man on the outside, so that's great. That's because, you know, Spider-Man is my favorite character. Anyway, I bought some new True Believers and Marvel's Greatest Creators, which is, I guess, the new name, the new title for True Believers. As you know, True Believers are reprints of classic Marvel stories for $1, and they usually tie in with something like an event or a movie or a television series. At least that's what the True Believers do. I'm not sure if the Marvel Creators has the same setup, because I think it's more a promotional thing to promote certain paperbacks that come out. For instance, the Incredible Hulk one I've got here. It's making, there's an advertisement for the Epic Collection, the Incredible Hulk, Future Imperfect. So I think they also reprint stuff that just want to show you that there's going to be like an Epic or an Omniverse or something else that's going on at Marvel in the reprint division. Now, you don't hear me complain, because frankly I love this stuff. I love reading these old comics, and I realized that lately I've been reading more reprinted Marvel comics than new ones. Maybe I'm getting old, I'm 42 right now, and maybe I just feel a bit nostalgic, but I really like old Marvel comics. I think they were at their best in the first 30 years when they were operating, so from the 1960s until the early 1990s, I guess. Though that's my favorite period of Marvel comics. So I wanted to show you guys these free comics, but today I want to focus on the Spider-Girl comic. If you never read it, I really want to recommend reading it. It started with a What If story in What If Volume 2 105, which was published in February 1998, or it has cover date February 1998. And it's the daughter of Spider-Man. So it's the daughter of Peter Parker and Mary Jane Watson. And this Marvel Creators, written by Tom DeFalco and art by Ron Frenz, is a reprint of that What If story. So let's look inside for a moment, because I always thought the creation of Mayday Parker, which is this girl, which is the daughter of Spider-Man, was very well done. And although it started as a What If story, a lot of series came from it. So first you had Spider-Girl, and that got cancelled and got relaunched in The Amazing Spider-Girl, and that went on for a while. And then that got cancelled as well, and then you got Spectacular Spider-Girl, if I remember correctly. But there was a lot of people who liked reading it, and the fans wrote to Marvel that they should restart the series after the first time it got cancelled. And I think she's also called Spider-Woman nowadays. And what I like about this, well, there's a couple of things I like about this. But first, inks are by Bill Sienkiewicz. And I want to zoom in on a couple of some details, because he's really the inking is kind of rough on this one, and that's interesting. Some sharp edges, but it's very well done. Bill Sienkiewicz, of course, is famous in his own right as an artist, as an inker, and it's always interesting to see how inking works out on certain pencilers. I love Ron Frenz's work. He did a stint on Spider-Man with Tom DeFalco back in the 1980s, and he's done Thor And I don't know, I think he worked on a lot of classic Marvel series. Here are the credits. And I think Spider-Girl, when Ron Frenz was drawing it, the series, Sal Buscema was the inker, and I think they were a great pair. They work very good together. Anyway, the story is that May Parker discovers her powers when she's around 15 during a basketball game, as you can see here. And Pete and MJ have an inclination of what is going on because, well, since she's the daughter of Peter, apparently she got her powers at birth, but they started manifesting themselves when she was 15, kind of like a mutant, I guess. I don't know why it took so long for their powers to manifest, but that's the story anyway. And we see what happened. So Peter stopped being Spider-Man. Oh, by the way, but that's probably obvious. There's gonna be some spoilers in this video. But so Pete lost his leg after his last fight with the Green Goblin, Norman Osborn, who died, and that was several years ago when May was still an infant. And now a new goblin creature arrives on the scene, threatening May and telling her that she should contact her father, and he wants to meet May's father. This appears to be Normie Osborn, who of course is the son of Harry Osborn, who of course is the son of Norman Osborn, just to be clear, and Norman Osborn was the first Green Goblin. So the story is about Peter's legacy basically, and how those darn goblins keep returning in his life. And this is when May finds out she's Spider-Man's daughter. But I like these little details, like, okay, they are living in Aunt May, in Aunt May's house, so that's great, in Forest Hills. And I also like Peter growing up and Mary Jane, and they're still together, as you know, in official history, because it's like this is an alternative universe. Pete and MJ broke up, but let's not talk about Brand New Day and One More Day anymore. Besides, in the current stories, they're back together, although I think they will never be married again, which kind of sucks. But the art is great in this one, and also the setup is good. And this is so fun. This is Normie Osborn, all grown up, and his body is filled with tattoos, as you can see. Yeah, he's kind of a screwed up kind of guy, and we can tell not just by his bad haircut. And this is May checking out the new powers. And I thought it was always a great solution to create a new Spider-Woman and just let her be Spider-Man's daughter. It's a very easy, smart solution to a problem. And I like her so much better than the creature, the character that came later, Silk. And Spider-Gwen is too much of a riff, I think, on Gwen Stacy. But, you know, I know a lot of people like Spider-Gwen, and she was great in that animation film, Into the Spider-Verse, so you don't hear me to complain too much about her. But I really liked it, the way they worked out May Parker. Here's MJ talking to her daughter about responsibility and showing her the original Spider-Man suit in the attic. This is a great panel as well. I really love Ron Frenz's artwork, and if you want to know more about Ron Frenz, Cartoonist Kayfabe had a great interview with him. It was about 2 hours. So Ed Piskor and Jim Rock interviewed Ron Frenz, and there's a lot of great information in that video. I will link that at the end of this video, so you can check that out. course, Normie Osborn blames Peter for his father and his grandfather dying. That's because that's how the Osborns are. They always blame somebody else for their problems. But thank God, Pete gets some help when things go wrong from the one and only Spider-Girl. Look at this one. This is a great splash page. Now she uses the Ben Reilly costume, the Ben Reilly Spider-Man costume, and I think it suits her very well. And I like how she still is trying to get the right moves. She still has to train, and she still has to get used to her new powers. That's good. That's something that's lacking from the new Star Wars films. Like, Rey is very powerful and knows everything about the Force in an instant. But here the writing is a little bit more realistic. It's cool stuff. I don't know about you, but I always like when Spider-Man, or in this case Spider-Girl, is just wall crawling. It's a great sight. But I've read a lot of the Spider-Girl comics. I got a lot of them in my on my bookshelf. Not all of them yet though. And after reading this one, this sort of origin story, I felt like, yes, like Peter here, I need to catch up on Spider-Girl again, because it was a great series. It's a lot of fun, because they play with Spider-Man tropes and give our variations on the original villains, and also come up with a couple of new ones, if I remember correctly. And here's what makes May a hero, because Normie is about to get hit by a truck. Now, if she would let him die, that would solve all their problems basically. He would never return, but it's not the way she is. That's not the person she is. It would be so easy to let him die and finally end the cycle of hate, she says, but you can't. Or she has a great power and even greater sense of responsibility, so I guess she was brought up very well by her parents. Although I think the clothing is a bit dated, I guess. The way she dresses. And there's something wrong with the Osborn family, because they all become, I don't know, psychopaths basically. This is a good panel as well. The whole family together. Now at the end of this story she burns her gear. This is also a familiar Spider-Man trope, because we have seen Peter quitting Spider-Man many a time, sometimes throwing his stuff just in the trash, sometimes burning it. But he always returns, because the pull of the adventure, and especially his sense of responsibility, is too big. And as we will see in the future, Spider-Girl will return. Like here. What if Peter and Mary Jane Parker had a daughter? This is the complete collection. Well, this is great. This is just great stuff. I really loved reading this, and I'm gonna reread a couple of Spider-Girl stories soon, I think. Now, I also wanted to talk to you about the other comics I bought, but I'll leave those two for our next video, because a lot can be said about this great Incredible Hulk issue as well. But I'll leave it at this for now. Anyway, thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you guys at the next one. And if you're in Amsterdam, check out Comics Import Amsterdam at the Keizersgracht near the Anne Frank house, and you won't be disappointed.